Good morning, and we're live from Ibiza for another edition of Café Diem with your host, Michelle Reed, and my special guest, all the way from Rockalisa, Mrs. Sarah Law. How are we?
I'm really good, Michelle. Thank you. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I want to know, coming from the UK, how are you sleeping in this heat? Are you
Oh my goodness. Well, thankfully we have an aircon in the bedroom. Otherwise, I would be a melting mess. I'm enjoying the aircon, that is for sure, because it's very different from the UK. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, I can imagine. And for those listeners who don't know who this wonderful person is, Sarah Law is an ex-professional performer turned nutritionist, bikini athlete, pro bikini athlete, and also a health and wellness advocate. So you have a lot of plates that you're spinning, Sarah.
Yes, I do. I try and cram them all in.
I can imagine. And I'll always remember the very first time I ever came across you in Ibiza was at not Try Yoga, that's London. The yoga studio that is in Centulalia. Pure. It was a Pure, and I think it was a handstand class. And I remember looking at your physique at the time and asking if you were a personal trainer, and you're like, "Nope, I just look after myself." And I was amazed at that point. I don't think you were competing at that point, were you?
No, I was a full-on yogi at that point. Like, spent the entire time just doing yoga and handstands, basically.
but you've always been very, 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 very dialed in with your nutrition, with your wellness, with everything, which is why I'm really, really excited to have you on the show. And we've spent many a time in Passion Cafe in Centulalia over a coffee, talking about everything. And I know that I could have you on here for quite some time, but we're going to keep it nice and short today, as we do with Café Diem, so half an hour. So number one, tell me, what are you drinking this morning? What's brewing, Sarah?
So I have right in front of me a Meke decaf americano, iced, of course, because it's too hot for hot drinks right now.
Cool.
Good old Meke.
And did you buy the beans, or do you ground? I think it was ground, or what are you drinking since you're in
it's ground here. So normally we like to grind the beans ourselves, and because then you can tell it's a lot fresher as well a lot of the time. But obviously, being in a rented apartment at the moment, you never know what you get. So we just brought an AeroPress with us. So it's like one of our travel essentials is the AeroPress. Yeah. So we can take it wherever we go, get some decent ground coffee, and coffee is life, basically.
Cool. And your husband is very much into coffee himself as well.
Oh my goodness. Like, he cannot live without, if someone told him he either had to chop his arm off or give up coffee, he'd chop the arm off.
Oh, really? That like, I love it. I love it. Well, I know. So, I mean, long story short, you were in Ibiza. Has it been about a year now, or longer than that you've been back in the UK?
Two. I think it's been 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah, I know it's gone so quickly.
That's crazy. So in Ibiza, I spent a number of years in Ibiza and then back to the UK. How was that? How was going back to the UK after spending so much time in Ibiza?
Interesting.
Yeah, I can imagine.
There are definitely moments when I'm like, why did we do this? And there's pluses and there's pros and cons to everything, isn't there? So there's some lovely things about being in the UK and being close to family and things like that, and the convenience of, Amazon deliveries and stuff like that is great. Yeah. However, my heart belongs here, like 100% my heart is here. So every time I come back, I'm just like, oh. And the goal for us really is to have our villa here so that we can go between the two. So that's what we're constantly working towards. So it's just knowing that that's on the horizon. And so every time we come back, we just get bigger vision and more set on knowing what we want.
Exciting. And what do you do for coffee when you're back in? It's in Cambridgeshire, I believe, right?
Yeah,
is that where you're at? Yeah. So do you have a nice little cafe close to you, or what coffee are you drinking when you're at home?
So mainly we have a delivery every single week. I think it's called Has Beans, and it's like it's a company that basically do the roast the beans fresh to every. Mm-hmm. And they do a really nice, because I often have decaf because my adrenal glands don't like caffeine. But I'm, again, kind of picky about decaf beans because a lot of the time they're soaked in horrible chemicals, which is not ideal. Mm-hmm. So they do a really nice Swiss water decaf one, which is my favorite. So yeah.
Cool. Does Ben drink decaf though?
No,
I
he's
can't
like, dare you? Yeah, it's like, what's the point? And I'm like, it still tastes like coffee. And he's like, no, it's ridiculous. It doesn't. And I'm like, really?
And how do you take it? You take it black, I guess, right? Black with ice right now.
Yeah. Black and ice. Yeah.
Cool.
That's my fave.
Awesome. So since you've been on the island, have you found any new cafes that are worth speaking about where you can get a nice coffee?
Not new this time, but last time we went, when was it? Last year when we came back and we went to Natural Point in the marina. I really like it there. Yeah. And they do the best sweet potato brownie ever.
Okay.
Like, total winner.
However, I must say that we went there this year and their coffee was crap.
Oh, damn.
I'd be interested to know what Ben thought of their coffee, because the coffee we had was absolutely crap.
That's annoying. It's like, come on, people, get it right.
I know. Because if like, I mean, all the good cafes in Ibiza, it's always generally Meke, isn't it? So if you're not brewing Meke, I'm not really sure what you're brewing on this island. But anyway,
it's like, what is it?
Cool. Awesome. So a coffee gal. I like it. Some people last week, my guest was very happy with instant coffee, and it's just like instant coffee isn't the one. We're definitely an AeroPress household over here.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's like, that's not coffee. Don't even do that.
That's just caffeine for people who just need that little bit of caffeine first in the morning.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
Cool. Excellent. Awesome. So from coffee, Mrs. Law, I want to know, and I'm familiar with your story, and I know you have a very interesting story, and it keeps getting longer and longer. How did you get into the wellness, the health and fitness? How did you become where you are today? How did you get into it? Spill the beans, Sarah.
Spill the beans, not the coffee ones. So obviously, being a performer, I'd always been conscious about the way I looked and how I felt, because my career depended on me being a certain size and a certain shape, and also having enough energy to perform and, get on stage every night and be that little bubble of energy. Mm-hmm. So I'd always had a kind of passion for knowing about nutrition and the body, but I had it so wrong for so many years. And I think, as a performer, you have a lot of pressure on you to look a certain way. So it definitely had a big mental impact for me. And actually being at college when I was training as a performer, I went through a big phase where I was really, I wasn't necessarily anorexic, I was more orthorexic. I was so controlling about everything I ate. And it's because it's so interesting. I was talking to Ben about it the other day, about like where it all began. And it's so interesting when you kind of try and peel back the layers and think, where did it actually originate from? And I remember when I was kind of 14, 15, I was slightly heavier than my friends because I'd always been athletic, like I'd always done sports. And so I weighed about half a stone heavier than them. And I was going on holiday with one of my best friends. And so I was like, well, I'm going to lose half a stone, so I'm the same weight as her. I mean, ridiculous. But at the time, when you're 14 and 15, that's kind of what you think about. Yeah. Obviously at that point, I really knew nothing about food. I just enjoyed it. And so my way of doing that was just don't eat. So obviously I lost half a stone, however, not in a very healthy way. And then what happened was I went on holiday, and because my body had been so deprived for so long, it was just like, give me food. So I just ended up in this cycle of binging that I could not stop. And it was like my body just was going, feed me. And to begin with, I didn't put on any weight. So I was like, this is fine. And then all of a sudden it was like the impact kicked in and I put on a considerable amount of weight, and I hated the way I looked. I felt horrific. And it was just like a perpetual cycle that I just couldn't break. Yeah. And when I was then in college training to be a performer,
can I ask you, Sarah, were your parents aware of this at this time?
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, it's just interesting.
They were.
Yeah, just was. How as a parent can you help your daughter or your child?
And that's so hard, because what can you do when someone's in that mental state? You know, they shared their concerns, but it was like my head didn't want to hear it. So it was just, and when I put on weight, it was I'd go shopping with my mum, and I'd cry whenever I went shopping, and she'd just, you're fine, and I'd be like, oh. So like this big, like, all the time. And then when I went to college to train as a dancer, again, I was always very conscious of the fact that I was bigger than everyone else. And I then injured my knee. So I ruptured the ligaments in my knee and had to have a ACL reconstruction. And it was at that point that I was like, right, my vow to myself is that I will not go back to college until I've shed this weight, because that's it, career over. So I started in a kind of good way of just, being very conscious about what I ate. But it kind of, again, went into a bit of a spiral where I became very, very controlling over everything that I ate. And I went back to college And everyone was like, oh my goodness, you look incredible, because I'd lost a lot of weight. They were like, wow, you look amazing. So I felt really good. But then I became so scared of food because I was petrified that if I changed the way I ate, or if I ate anymore, then I'd lost control and I'd end up back where I was before binging. So it was like I was absolutely petrified of food, and I just had a very unhealthy relationship with food, to be honest. And that kind of carried on for quite some time until I hit a point in my journey where I had to do something about it. My mum was like distraught. You know, it was a very challenging time. And at college, they stopped me dancing because I was getting too skinny.
Oh, no.
So it was all these things that were kind of, you know, falling into place. That I was like, okay, I've got to do something about this. So I went and had a lot of cognitive behavioural therapy, which was a godsend. It helped me so much. And I had an incredible woman who really supported me. So that got me back to a really good place. And I think that's really where my passion for it all began, because it made me realise what people go through mentally and physically. And I was like, I want people to understand how to really look after their bodies properly. And so then basically when I'd been a performer for many, many years, and then I started working with an online botanical health and skincare kind of holistic company. And through learning a lot about skincare and makeup and products and nutrition, I was like, wow, I actually realized that this fascinates me. This is my passion. This is my heart. This is what I want to do more of. So that's when I went back to college and trained as a naturopathic nutritionist. And then it was like all the pieces fell together. I was like, I know that I want to help people and impact people to feel really confident in the way they are and have a good, healthy relationship with food, and eat in a good way that is fueling their bodies rather than just mindlessly filling their bodies, but loving it as well. You know, realizing that healthy doesn't have to be deprivation and bland crap food. It can be fabulous and wonderful, you know. So yeah, that's where it all began.
Fantastic. I love that. That's fantastic. I think there are probably a lot of people that will either be watching or listening back that can relate to that story for sure. And as like, you know, young women, especially nowadays, the social media, and it's like, you know, there's some really good accounts on Instagram now that are really kind of like you say, peeling back the influencers and that sort of thing. And people are starting to understand that my body can't look like, well, there's a handful of people. So I think it's really great. And you're very, very, very vocal on Instagram as well about being body positive as well. So I love it. It's a great story. Now, from that, do you remember your first time in Ibiza and how you ended up coming to Ibiza the first time?
Yeah. So Ben, my husband, had always had a huge love for Ibiza. And when we first got together, I was actually living in Germany because I was performing over there. And we decided to take a holiday together, and it was to Ibiza. Okay. So that's where the true kind of love for this place really came from, like seeing his passion for it. And then when I came, and I was just like, wow, it's amazing. And it's funny because if I think back to then, obviously it was a very different experience to what we have now. It was much more like partying all the time, clubbing, sleeping in the morning. Whereas now we come here and it's the complete opposite. We're like in bed by 11, you know, meditating in the morning. Very, very different to what it was. But that's what I love about this island. It's got so many different characteristics, and there's something for everyone. And the beauty in it is that, you know, it's got that soul and that spirit that is available to everybody from different angles. It's whatever you want it to be.
I agree as well. I say most people will definitely say the first time they came to Ibiza was to go to space. It always seems to be the one that everybody talks about. So it was a little bit of party the first time. Cool. And now totally the opposite way. And there's no clubs for us to go to anyway.
So. Exactly. Right now it's perfect. There isn't any. Yeah. But yeah, we came on holiday here, you know, pretty much every year. And then we got married on the island because we just knew that it was going to be the right place. And as soon as we got married here, we were like, we want to live here. So that's when we decided to up sticks and move over here. And we still had a place in the UK, and we're going backwards and forwards between the two for a couple of years. Yeah. But we were renting in both, but we were mainly based here, you know, just with the little spurts in the UK. Yeah. So cool. It was a fabulous time.
And since you've been here this time, are you competing anytime soon? Do you have a show coming up?
Yeah. Back since February. So obviously normally when you compete, you have kind of what is called an on-season and an off-season. So off-season is when it's a little bit more lax, you've got a bit more leeway and a bit more room. But again, for me, I'm much more about it being a lifestyle. So I don't go crazy in the off-season like a lot of people do, because actually a lot of the work, the hard work and the muscle growth and things like that happen in the off-season. So it's really important to look after your body and nurture it in the right way if you want good results in the on season. So for me, it's more about like creating a lifestyle. But again, it's been a very interesting lesson for me because it's really helped me see again where my own boundaries are mentally with regards to kind of letting go a little bit. Because one of my biggest things is actually that I'm more of a like control freak than the other way. So it's like letting the kind of boundaries down are an interesting thing to do in the off season without going like panicky. So it's been a really, really interesting journey for me to kind of go on. But yeah, I've been prepping since February. The goal was originally that I was supposed to be on stage in July over in America because all the pro shows with the federation that I compete with are in America and Canada. So I was going to be over in America for the whole of July pretty much doing shows. Then obviously that didn't happen because they got cancelled. So then it was August. Then that didn't happen because the borders are all closed. So it was like everything kept getting pushed and pushed and pushed. So we've been in prep for a very long time, let's say. And now the goal is there's a pro show in Alicante in October. So that will be the first one this year.
Okay, cool. That's cool. So good old Spain.
I know, yeah. It's like it's calling me, basically.
Yeah.
Meant to be in Spain.
Good old mainland Spain. It should be interesting to see what Alicante is like in October, hey? Mainland Spain, I don't know right now.
I know. It's just like, seriously. Anything else? Come on, world. Give us some hope.
I know. Cool. So, okay, since February, so quite some time. So what does a day in the life of Sarah Law look like when she is getting ready for a show, when she's getting ready for the stage?
Okay, so a day in the life of would be... I always have a morning routine because I'm a big believer in how you start your day is how your day will run. And I've noticed such a dramatic difference for myself in my mindset, the quality of my thoughts, the way I feel when I have a good morning routine. So meditation is a huge part of my morning. Visualization always. And I mean, here it's just incredible to do that because the visualization is like through the roof. And meditating, again, you feel like you can just connect to your soul so much easier in Ibiza than anywhere, you know, that feeling it's got. So I just spend that time in the morning really looking after myself. So a good hour in the morning, looking after me, doing meditating, visualization. I've also got a goals book. So every morning I write down my goals for the year as if they've already happened. They're the reality. And so it's like I'm living and breathing it. Have a bit of breakfast.
Before we move on to that, because I think for me, that's what's missing in my life right now. I've fallen off the path with yoga, with meditation, and visualization is something that I've never really gotten into. So how long did it take you to like build those habits to be able to do that every single day? Because that's impressive. Do you ever take a day off, or is it literally every day before I eat or do anything?
My goal is always to do it every day, but I'm not perfect in any way, shape or form. So there are days when it slips or I'm like, oh crap, I've run out of time this morning, or like weekends, maybe one day a week. But I've over the last kind of 3 or 4 months, I would say I've got into a really good routine with it of really being quite solid most of the time. And again, it's a habit. It's just forming a habit and making yourself realize the importance of getting up early enough to do it. So that for me has been a real change. And I think is also having like something that inspires you. So for me, like I've got some really good meditations now that inspire me to want to do them. And then the visualization side of things, we've probably talked about him before, but Dr. Joe Dispenza, I'm an absolute fan of, and he's so much about that mental rehearsal. And so when I read his books, I was like, okay, I really need to get into doing this more and with more feeling behind it as if it's real. And then when I started to do that, it was like the universe just aligns and things start to come your way that you just never expected.
Oh, I'm excited. So, you've really sold it to me, because I know in the back of my mind and on my board it's like visualization, but I'm just not doing it. So I'm really, really pleased that you shared some of that with me. Awesome.
Good.
It's exciting.
Good. Yeah. You know what really works for me? If I find music that connects with my heart, music is such an emotional thing. So for me, I think it's about connecting with your heart center first. So what I always do is I put on music that's either reminds me of a really happy moment. Like I've got music that I can just connect to, like our wedding day, and I see it and I visualize that moment because I can connect to that feeling. And then once I'm in that feeling in my heart space, that's when I visualize, and that's when I can actually feel it being there, if you know what I mean. So try that and see how you can.
Yeah, I know. I love it. I think they're called Beautiful Chorus. Have you ever heard of them? I'll send it to you after. They're incredible. They have some really inspirational music. So I'll send it to you. Maybe that'll speak to you as well. So I like it. So music, not techno. not techno, not at 6 o'clock in the morning. Awesome. Okay, awesome. So meditation, visualization, and then some breakfast. What does breakfast look like? Delicious, I'm sure.
So always. So I do have like a set food plan, but because I know about food a lot, I jiggle things around a little bit. My coach probably doesn't know that. But yeah, because I just know what is the right things to fuel my body with. So I'll jiggle things around. So I'll normally have either a really nice smoothie, or I'll have some kind of like sweet omelette where I put some oats and things in there as well. So a good protein source and good fats mainly are what I have for breakfast. Or some protein pancakes. I'm a big fan. If anyone follows me on social media, they see that I post about protein pancakes on a rate. I mean, it's a daily thing. I can't live without them. So that's normally my breakfast, something like that. And again, it depends how busy I am, or if I'm out and about and on the go. If I'm off somewhere, then a smoothie is always a good idea because it's so simple. But if I've got more time in the morning, then I'll sit down and create something quite epic. And what I had been doing recently is I'd been doing, because I have to do cardio every day, so I'd been doing fasted cardio, so doing that before my breakfast. However, I've learned my body well enough now to realize that my body really doesn't like it. So I can feel after doing it for quite some time. And I think also being in the heat and things like that. And I'm often, when I do my cardio, I'm jogging up hills in Rockalisa, which is quite intense, probably not taking it easy. And I can feel afterwards that my cortisol goes a bit crazy and my adrenal glands go a bit wild. And I've had issues there before from pushing myself too hard. Being a type A personality, I'm one of those people that, I'll work myself to the ground if I feel like it's going to get me somewhere. And it's really about learning to kind of unpick that and let go of that a little bit more and trust that you don't need to constantly push hard. It's about, doing things from a good place, not always like a forced place. So I've switched things up a bit recently again. And like, now I'm like, okay, I'll do my cardio when I go to the gym. We'll often head to the gym, do a weight session, do cardio, get back, have some lunch, do a bit of work, maybe go to the pool, maybe head into Santa Eulalia, explore the island a little bit, and then do a little bit of work later on in the day as well. And that's my day, really. Cool.
And how do you end your day though, Sarah? Because ending your day with a sleep ritual is so important as well. Especially-
and it's definitely, it's a work in progress for sure for me. It's the thing I find the hardest to nail.
Okay.
So it's definitely been something that I've been working on for a very long time, and I still have not quite nailed it, but I'm getting there. So again, I will read a book normally. The biggest thing for me is not having this goddamn thing near the bed, because as soon as I have a phone near the bed, I can't help it. It's like I will just start faffing around on it, not even doing anything that's just scrolling, like mindlessly scrolling, or just doing things that aren't necessary. So it's like, right, get out of the way. And then reading, again, I have my goals book, so I'll write in my goals book the same goals that I've written in the morning as if they've already happened. I have a gratitude book as well, so I'll write down the things that I've been grateful for the day. And within that, what I also do as well is write down one thing that I'm grateful for that hasn't yet happened, but as if it's already happened. So again, it's already planting the seeds of what the future are going to be. And then I've also got this little book, which I absolutely love, which is...
Did you travel with all these books to Ibiza?
Like half my suitcase is supplements and books.
And like
clothes and shoes.
And some bikinis, I imagine. There must be some bikinis in there.
Gym gear, bikinis, books, and supplements.
I love it.
So I've got a book that's like, it's like a diary, but it's like a 5-year diary. So you can see everything that you've done for the last 5 years on one page. And I love it because every night I just read through it and I look back, where was I last year? Where was I 2 years ago? And it's so lovely to just have those memories. Because again, it's like when you can find those great things, it fills your heart up. And then it's like, you're creating more of them. You're creating more great memories for yourself, which is what life is all about, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. That's really interesting. I'd love to see. I'd love that as well. So you have to send me the link for that, because I think that's quite fascinating. Although Facebook does a good job of that nowadays, reminding you where you were on this day last year.
You don't want to be reminded of. You're like, don't remind me of that, please.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Although the more that we can get off Facebook, the better. As we're on Facebook, it's funny. Oh God. Anyway, excellent, cool. Well, clear. I love it. I love that. And like you say, you're not perfect, so that doesn't happen every single day, but. On a very good Sarah Law day, that's what you're up to. Yeah. Excellent. Awesome. Okay. So now you mentioned, because I know you're extremely healthy in terms of your eating. You're eating very nutrient dense food, really looking after your macronutrients. I'm sure you have a plan that you're following. But you mentioned supplements. So what could you possibly be taking for supplements that you're not getting from your food?
Everything. This is the thing, like, and I believe it's because, you know, yes, we can, my ideal would be that we could get everything from food. It really would. However, the way that we live nowadays, with the environment and the food that's grown, it's just not as nutritious as it used to be because soil is just depleted. So I think people need more support than ever. And also with their gut health and things like that, gut health is vital. And so many people have so many things going on with their gut, again, from over-processed foods, stress, the environment, toxins. You know, there's so many things that nowadays impact our bodies. So I just feel that humans need all the help that they can get. So for me, supplementation is a really important thing. And that's why it takes priority in my suitcase over clothes, because I'm like, I'll just buy the clothes if I need any more. And in all reality, normally when I travel, I take far too many clothes anyway. So it's like, you know, having those staples that I know are just filling the gaps. And that's what supplementation is. You know, it's not about having a crap diet, having supplements and thinking that they're going to be the answer. No, the diet is the first part. The supplementation is exactly that. It's to supplement your diet. So to fill the gaps and to just make sure that you're getting all the bits covered that you need to cover. So for me, one of the biggest ones is always having adrenal support. Okay. Again, because I know my body so well, and I know that my body can overreact to stress quite easily. And being a type A personality where I'm quite blinkered and also working out quite a lot, you know, it's all a stressor on the body. Even though exercise is great for us, it's still a stress. So for me, having adrenal support is really important.
Okay. And because we're coming up to our time and I don't want to go over, if you, number one for you would be adrenal support. So what are you taking for adrenal support? So the number one thing, if people are feeling stressed out, they're living in the fear, all of these things that are going right now, what would be your number one supplement for adrenal support, Sarah?
So I have one called Inner Calm, and it's got ashwagandha, which is an adaptogenic herb, which is incredible for helping the adrenals function sufficiently. It brings down cortisol if it's too high. It helps to raise cortisol if it's too low. So it's got ashwagandha, L-theanine, which is a really calming nutrient. And then it's also got saffron extract. So that's my go-to.
Interesting. Interesting. Saffron extract. Not familiar, but also L-theanine is for green tea as well, right? So
exactly.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, I like ashwagandha because it's like you say, it understands if you need more or less, right?
Yeah, it's like it's communicating with your body.
Cool, awesome. Okay, so adrenal support, which I think everybody probably, especially women right now, they have a lot going on. Not that men don't, but excellent. I like it. All right, Miss. We are at our time. Can you believe it? Like I say, I'm going to talk to you for hours about what you're up to and where you're going.
Maybe we're going to get another slot in that point.
We're going to wrap it up now because it is close to finishing. And I'm going to say thank you so much for being a guest on Café Diem, Sarah, whilst you're in Ibiza. And I look forward to following you on, continuing to follow you on Instagram and see what you're up to as well. Before we do sign off, I'm just going to mention that if you're looking to get a hold of Sarah on Instagram, it's Sarah Law UK. So super easy. And then also from the Instagram link, you can find her on the link tree. And then within the link tree, you'll find all the different things that you're up to. So I don't believe that you have a Facebook that you use for a business.
No, I don't have my personal one. I did have it. I stopped using it. I was like,
that's fine. So Instagram for sure. And you'll get to see the protein pancakes, all the great supplementation, and just this all around great mental attitude mindset that Sarah Law has. And next week, we're going to be talking to another qualified nutritionist called Hayley Field, who is the food ninja, who was in Ibiza and is back in the UK as well. So it seems to be a bit of a theme. So I'm looking forward to talking no nonsense nutrition with her as well. If you're looking to get a hold of Café Diem, it's Café Diem Ibiza on Instagram, Facebook, and SoundCloud. Of course, you'll be watching this back on YouTube. So if you could subscribe, if you like this, please let us know. And then, of course, myself, I'm a qualified fitness and nutrition coach myself. We'll be doing a big push come September when I think everybody will be ready to honor their health and unconditional love Ibiza. And that is it for our episode 16 of Café Diem with my guest, Sarah Law. Brewed out of lockdown for a love of well-being, black coffee, and early mornings. That's us. Bye. Thank you. It was nice to see you. See you soon.
Bye.
Adios.
Adios.